Hi, everybody. You're now experiencing the Gretna Bill Show.
So glad we got to finally do this, Vicki. Yeah. And it's great having you on the show. The last couple of days, I've been just watching Global Cycling Network on Dirty Kansas stuff. So I got a whole bunch of questions for you, and I know you'll be able to answer them. I hope you will be. But officially, it's been so great having you around, seeing you on the trail. I saw you yesterday running. I watch your Strava. I watch your training, and we got to get out and ride more. That was such a fun gravel day.
Definitely.
But anyway, as we said, welcome to the neighborhood. So that's first and foremost. I want to, your whole family's here today.
They are.
So let's introduce everybody. Come on up, kids. All right, go ahead, Seth. Introduce everybody.
This is Connor. He's 9. This is Annabelle, and she's 11. We live on Timber Road.
Very cool. You guys rode your bikes up today?
We did.
Of course. Excellent. This is a biking community, right?
Yep.
So glad you came up. There you go. That's great. We'll get together afterwards. We're going to go over and look at some bikes. So if you guys are still around. We've been talking about this since about January?
Yep.
And I said, man, this is great. I was so glad you were ready to kind of get on a Guerciotti and talk to me about sponsorship. And, Alessandro Guerciotti from Milan, Italy, and Guerciotti Bicycles were really jazzed to have you aboard. And we sent the resume. And so at any rate, reason why I thought this was a good time, we're officially in phase yellow, I guess.
Yeah.
And then I saw the Instagram post that you made, and that really sparked my appetite to hear more about it. So on the 30th, right, was the 1-year anniversary, and it was, or roughly.
Yeah. So last Saturday, the 30th, was supposed to be Dirty Kansas 2020 race. And it has been postponed to September because of COVID-19. So I think everyone has their fingers crossed that the race will go ahead in September.
So all signs point to probably, huh?
Yeah, I think so.
Most
right now.
Probably. So, I saw all the social media stuff on Ad Astra, which they were trying to the stars.
Mm-hmm.
And they were trying to, they had all kind of events, like you could ride your own gravel event and then go and have your Strava forwarded to Ted King and so on and so forth. Did you participate in any of that?
I didn't. I did my own long road ride last Saturday. I wasn't quite feeling like I wanted to ride the whole 200 miles last week.
Yeah.
But I think that just seeing everyone else riding, it's always inspiring that even though the race was canceled, people are still out there doing their own thing solo to feel like they were at Dirty Kansas.
Yeah, I tell you, it's on all of our bucket lists to do some really long gravel rides. We've got a good sampling around here, or we will by the end of the year, and for sure we did last year. I can't remember. Were you up at Unpaved with us?
I wasn't at Unpaved last year, but I was there the year before, and I was second in the women's race. Yeah.
This is awesome. So, and then, I'll just run down through your resume here just to bring everybody up to speed. Last year you did finish 10th, and we'll go through that more of a play-by-play. But so at any rate, you've been a pro and elite rider for about 10 years now.
Yeah, about that.
And then, so when did you get into cycling for the first time?
Yeah, so people often ask me that question. And I was a runner before I was a cyclist. You see, I still run here in Mount Gretna. I love the running.
Yeah.
But just harder on the body. So I used to ride mountain bikes for fun in Scotland. And we have amazing trails in Scotland. And so I kind of rode mountain bikes and ran as my sort of thing. And everyone that I rode with always said to me, you should race bikes. And it was around about that time that I moved to the States. And then just really got into racing once I moved here. The opportunities for racing here, I would say the equality here. It was just very welcoming to women in the Mid-Atlantic Super Series, for example, in mountain biking to race. So I just, got totally engulfed in the race scene.
Nice. Just couple of highlights here. Basically, you rode for Stan's No Tubes, Kenda Cannondale women's team, 2010, 2019. Then the first race result, which I found really interesting, was Single Speed Cyclocross World Champion 2013.
Right.
Whoa. Where was that race?
That race was in Philadelphia.
Really?
Yeah. So it moves around, the world, but mostly the US.
Yeah.
And in 2013, the race came to Philadelphia, and dressed up in a Batwoman costume. Was not expecting to win the race, but I think it snowed really heavily that day, and it got really difficult and technical. Like the heaviest snow, the days where they closed the turnpike, and I just had an advantage because I could ride technical trails.
Yeah.
It was at the Belmont Plateau in Philadelphia.
Been there, raced well. Yeah, we used to have
Yep.
Mass Series races there for
Yep.
sure.
So yeah, that was an interesting win.
Did you have any pictures?
Lots of pictures.
Oh, good.
Some that I tried to hide.
Yeah. I bet. If you could get some of those to Josh, that would be great. I'd love to show the folks out there that I would love to see that Batman. Beautiful. Winner, Transylvania Mountain Bike Epic 2015.
Yeah.
Was that 5 days or 7 days?
I think that was still 7 days. I forget.
I think it was back then. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Huge.
That was hard.
Yeah. Huge.
Yeah. Transylvania Epic's probably one of the hardest races. Especially back then when it was 7 days. There was no enduro day that day where you got a little bit of a rest.
Yeah.
It was full on 7 days of racing. Extremely taxing on the body.
That was about what overall, like 400 miles, 350 miles, something like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably 200, I would think.
At least 40 or 50 a day, right?
Yes.
Which is a lot on a mountain bike.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Did you bivvy up there and camp up there, or did you have some other
I was
arrangement?
living up there at the time.
Ah, perfect. So you just went to the race site.
Yeah.
Cool. Winner, National Ultra Endurance Wilderness 101, 2013, 15, and 18. Holy crap. Those are 101 miles, right?
Correct.
Which one of those years was really hot? Or all of them?
All of them, as far as I can remember, were really hot.
Did you, so what were your times roughly?
The 1 year, I can't remember, it was one of the earlier years. I think I did it in 7 hours something.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Wow. That race is on my bucket list, but that's a great job on your part for sure. And then, of course, the Dirty Kansas 200 mile, 10th place, 2019. That's what we were talking about earlier. So when I looked at Instagram, it looked like you got off to a pretty good start. I watched the beginning of the race yesterday on Global Cycling Network for a while, and it was a stacked deck.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see too many women, but that crew took off fast off the point.
Yeah.
So were you able to hang with those guys at that point, or those girls and guys?
There's so many people.
They couldn't tell.
It's hard to tell. With racing, it's interesting. I think that the more you do a race, the more confident you are on where you want to be. With the 100-mile mountain bike racing, for example, when I first started 100-mile mountain bike racing, I was shy in the pack. I didn't put myself out there. I would follow the lead of other racers. And I feel like with Dirty Kansas, because I hadn't done the race before, I pinpointed girls I knew that were around about where I race.
Solid, yeah.
And just kind of had my eyes on them. I didn't worry about who was trying to.
way off the front.
Yeah. And it is like 6 a.m. It is, dusty, hundreds, thousands of people racing down narrow
Stress
gravel
level was
roads.
pretty high.
Stress level high. People are, nervous. There's a little bit of bumping of elbows.
Yeah.
So for the first 60 miles, I just tried to draft and play it smart and, eat and drink a little bit, not go into the red. And I was surprised that I got to the first aid station and I was feeling pretty good. I was kind of dangling outside the top 10, but I wasn't even thinking about position per se. I was just concentrating on trying to feel good, make sure that I was fueling properly, and that I was, being continuous in my effort. And after the first aid station, I think you saw in my Instagram, I accidentally picked up 2 bottles of Coke, which I only wanted 1 bottle of Coke at 150 miles. And I accidentally grabbed 2 bottles of Coke instead of 2 bottles of electrolyte mix. Yeah. So for the next 50 miles, I was feeling great because I was high on caffeine and sugar.
Yeah.
And I passed so many people, and it was just that way where you pass people and you think, why are they going so slow? And I passed Amanda Nauman, who has won Dirty Kansas before.
Yeah.
Really nice girl. And I was like, oh, hi, Amanda. And, then other girls, I just thought, what is going on out here? These people have extended themselves too fast, too soon.
Yeah.
But I knew deep down, like, don't even let these thoughts cross your mind at this point in the race, because you're going to go into a dark place soon. It's just when. And sure enough, the dark place came. And I would say there was one. So there's only 2 aid stations in Dirty Kansas, one at 64 miles and one at 151. And so you have to be self-sufficient between those stations. And they put 1 water oasis out at mile 120. And by the time I got there, I was starting to hurt a little bit. I just needed to get off my bike. And I really, just like physically get off and undo my shoes, let my feet breathe for a second.
Yeah.
And one of the people at the Oasis said, let me fill up your Camelback for you. So they filled it up. And so I said, thanks. And Amanda and I were at that aid station together, and she took off. And I set off down the road. And then my whole Camelback just exploded down my back because they hadn't put the cap on properly. So then I was like, oh, okay, well, that was nice and cool for a second. And now I'm back to living on Coca-Cola. So,
oh, man.
Yeah. So by the time I got to 150 miles, I was really what felt like crawling on the path at that point. So.
Yeah. So what was your overall time then?
13 and a half.
Not bad. Not bad at all. I mean, the winner was 11.
Winner was 12.
12.
Yeah.
Right. So, okay. So, yeah, when, going back to beginning for that race, it's not like you'd ride 200 miles, right? So like 9 months leading into it, let's say, or 6 months. Well, first of all, did you have to get in a lottery or anything, or did you just? Yeah,
lottery. Even this year, again, it was a lottery.
So even though you finished 10th, you had to get in a lottery again this year.
Yeah.
Well, so the 6 months leading into it, did you have like a regimented plan of any sort?
Yeah.
So what did that look like, just roughly?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty regimented in my training.
I kind of noticed that.
So, but I work full time.
Yeah, I know.
So I have a full time job working for a pharmaceutical company.
Yeah.
In Philadelphia.
Your plate is full.
Plate is full, and so it takes a lot of early morning training rides. Towards it's hard to train in Pennsylvania long miles in January through March because of the weather. So as soon as the weather kind of changes a little bit and the evenings get lighter, I was able to do like a training ride before work, so maybe 30 miles at 6 a.m, go to work. And then I would ride after work out to the Great Valley Criterium from Philadelphia, which is about 30 miles. And I'd race the Criterium for 30 miles and then I'd ride back to Philadelphia. So I'd try and get like across the course of the day, 120 miles and work in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So in the hours, is that like 15 hours a week, 20 hours a week?
20.
Yeah. So the mileage vary because the hours more key because you're running sometimes, you're doing other forms of cross training. I saw you were on the kicker a lot this winter, and
I use the kicker a lot.
Yeah, cool. So now this year, obviously you started to gear up for May 30th or whatever, and then that's not going to happen. So how is your training different this year going into it, and now what are you going to do between now and September?
Yeah, it's a great question. So the training plan that I had this year was slightly different because I recognized that I've done hundreds of 100-mile rides, races throughout my riding career, but I haven't gone up into that 150, 160-mile range. And that's when I noticed my body started to react differently. So looking for strategies of how to prepare the body for that. And one is to do longer rides, so up to 10 hours. So I had kind of planned 7 hours, 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours each week, on a Saturday, and then back down and then back up again.
Yeah.
And then another strategy, which I was advised, was to do a really hard interval session on a Friday night, and then have very minimal carbohydrates that evening. So your body is not it goes into a carbohydrate deficient state.
Yeah.
Not eat. So eat like a normal, fat rich dinner, and then get up in the morning and start off on like a 4 or 5 hour ride, just to train the body of, how it would feel in more of a glycogen depleted state. So did that a couple of times, and then COVID-19 hit and things changed, definitely. I didn't want to be out on the bike on my own for 9 or 10 hours. So just dialed things back down to 4 or 5 hour rides, some 6 hour rides, but nothing too extreme. And then, build that back up over the summer now that things seem to be looking better.
So you kind of scaled it down a bit, and now you're going to start that rise back up to it.
Yeah.
So then going into like a week before, 2 weeks before, are you going to start to back it off a bit?
Yeah, definitely.
And I always worry about that. Whenever I do that, sometimes my body shuts down a lot.
I know.
So it's probably got to be very, you got to carefully do that, right? Your body.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we're all the same. We get used to living on cycling and that feeling. And so, you've raced over the years as well, Bill, and it's, try to keep your body moving and do shorter, slightly more intense workouts for an hour, but don't do the longer stuff where you're, using up reserves that you might need and try and sleep a lot, etc.
Yeah. So, getting to the race itself, well, first of all, you guys flew into Emporia.
Yeah.
Seth, you guys went into Emporia last year?
We landed in
Kansas City.
And then drove to Emporia.
How far up drive was that?
Like 2.5 hours, 2 hours maybe.
Yeah.
Is
It
there
was really nice.
lodging there and stuff, or did you have to go to the outskirts?
We got a great Airbnb. Yeah, it was.
Cool. So all those thousands of people were pretty much housed there?
Yeah, I think the Airbnb was probably overloaded.
Is there like a university there or something? Nothing.
I
No.
don't think there's much.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
So then you get out there early. Would you get out like Thursday or something?
Yeah.
Wednesday, and then Friday you do some recon and stuff like that, and then go to bed early, and then
Yeah.
Saturday D-Day, right?
Yeah.
So now, how do you figure your food out? I've been watching all those Dirty Cans of Preparation things, and everyone talks grams and this and that of carbs and everything. But basically, what do you do differently from your normal routine to prepare for that 200 miles?
In terms of eating before?
Eating before, and then during the day, how do you have that spaced out? I mean, you're not going to stop at the first aid stations that much, right? The aid
No, and when I say aid station, it was supported. So Seth was there. It's your own person. It's not like even the race puts on any type of table with gels. It's all on you. So if you mess up, it's on you. So before the race, I always try not to change too much in the way that I eat, but just eat a little bit more of it and make sure I have obviously carbohydrates. So rice and salmon and vegetables, some chocolate, and then in the morning, oatmeal, standard cyclist diet.
Yeah.
For the actual race, I was not entirely sure what I would want and how I would feel. And so I talked to a couple of people who've done the race before, you know, Celine Yeager.
Yes, of course.
So talked to Celine and asked her, you know, for some advice. And she said, just have a variety of foods available because you never know what you're going to want. And so you'll get to the aid and you'll be like, no, not that, no, not that, no, not that. And that's kind of what I felt. So it was like, will I want watermelon? Or will I want a peanut butter sandwich? Or will I want, you know, jellyfish? Like, who knows? So
Yeah.
Seth just had a spread of everything, and I actually didn't want anything because it's hard, you know, to get stuff down. So I make sure I have usually the right stuff in my bottles. So mix of carbohydrate, electrolytes, always key. GU chews with amino acids, those always help me. And then some bars.
Yeah.
You know, some simple bars like a Lara bar and some Cliff bars, for example. So nothing crazy. I don't think that there's any secret recipe. It's just how your body is used to feeling.
Agreed. I see the same thing. And there's things that I don't normally eat, but then I get into the aid stations and I'm like, that looks really good.
Right, Pringles. I'd never eat Pringles. And then I'm like, oh, salty Pringles, those are great.
Pringles
right
is a great example, man. I saw those Pringles and I thought, nah, I'm not. But man, when I hit the aid station, like an unpaved, I was like, yeah, chowing those down. So, yeah, the amino acids in the blocks is a good idea, right? Because that's broken down protein for you. And,
yeah.
And so, you know, generally your diet sounds like it's like 30, 40, 40, something like that. It's pretty normal.
Mm-hmm.
You do eat a lot of protein. I know when I've gotten old, as I gotten older, I need a lot. But then during your race day, do you kind of still follow that same kind of formulation?
I mean, probably less protein and just the amino acids from the blocks on the bike, for example. Yeah. I don't put any type of protein powder or anything. Just simple, straight, you know, sugar from rice and corn is usually what works for me.
Gluten-free stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I tell you, that's on all of our bucket lists. I'd like to do the 100. I think I can do the 100 for sure.
Oh, yeah, you could definitely do the 100.
Yeah, cool. So, and then we're going to go out and look at the bikes later. But yeah, I'm pretty jazzed. You're going to zero in on that. You're going to have a great time. And thinking from what I saw on the Instagram, you really could have done a lot better had you not, like, I can't imagine it just having 2 Cokes or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
And you were thinking, I'm going way too fast here. This is gonna end horribly.
Yeah.
And it did, sort of. Not really though. You still did really
You
well.
only needed 1 more Coke.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not 2.
Or a Monster, or Red Bull.
You know, finishing off the resume, unpaved Pennsylvania gravel race, 120 miler, second place, 2018. The BC Bike mountain bike stage race, third place, 2015. Was that like Transylvania? How did those two compare?
Yeah, BC Bike Race is, I mean, it's out of this world, phenomenal. You move from stage to stage. So Transylvania Epic, you're in one spot.
Yeah.
At the beginning of every race starts from the same spot, almost. I think there's one sort of external start. BC, you move and you take ferries and buses and you might finish a stage and you then get on a ferry and you're taken somewhere else and then you camp. Unless you're extremely organized and you have a camper van with a designated person to drive and follow you, or you get hotels. And so that year it was boiling hot. It was sweltering, and I eventually cracked on, I think, the 3rd day and had to get an Airbnb. And it was a funny story because you go from place to place, and I was having a really good race. I got lost on one stage, and I was racing Katarina Nash, who's very good.
Very good.
And got to this one place, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I need air conditioning. And so I called an Uber or a taxi to take me to this Airbnb, and they said, "Well, where are you?" And I was like, I actually don't even know where I am. Like, I don't even know where I am. I'm somewhere in British Columbia, but I don't know where I am because I've just raced my bike here. And so I was like, I'm near a school. And so, yeah, very interesting, challenging in all aspects. Completely, any advantage I had at Transylvania Epic of knowing the trails and
It's
having my own
completely
bed,
wiped out.
completely wiped out.
Yeah, I ran into this guy. I went on this, I go to Jamaica every year riding, and we went over to Kingston and we went up to Blue Mountain, and there's a whole set of trails that are built there. And you get a bus ride, you go up to the top. Anyway, we ran into these two guys, Daryl and somebody else. And here they were the organizers of the BC
Oh,
mountain bike
Mhm.
race. So, they told me all about it, and it was kind of interesting. I wanted to do it. Then finally, the British Cross Country Mountain Bike Nationals, 9th place, 2013. That's pretty impressive.
That was, when I was kind of dabbling in cross country.
Yeah.
Went back to Scotland because the race was in Scotland, and tried to test myself against the girls there. And everyone always says to me, "Oh, you'll do great," and the nationals in Britain, because I don't think they realize the talent there is so deep. And there's phenomenal cyclists that come out of Britain, as you know, right, with the men and the women. So definitely a top caliber of racers there as well.
Very good. So, getting to the race itself this year, it's going to be the same as last year's course, I would think.
I think they changed it.
Really?
Yeah, but I'd have to check. I thought that they were going a different direction.
So, first of all, you're supposed to be self-supportive. That's why you carry your hydration pack, because you've got, how many tubes did you take and how many tools?
Oh, I think I had probably 3 tubes just in case.
Yeah.
Lots of CO2.
Yeah.
Tools, rain jacket in case it rained. I think that was the major things I was concerned with. Yeah.
Luckily, it was a lightweight rain jacket because you're sweating and it's hot, and you're thinking, "Why the heck did I bring that?"
Right. I didn't need it. I packed it into my into my tool bag. So
how did you get the name Sweet Hammer?
So I was at a race I forget, somewhere in Pennsylvania, and this guy came up to me after the race, and he said, "You are so nice when you pass people. Everyone else is like, women's leader coming, out of the way, move." And you're like, "On your left, passing on your left, you're the Sweet Hammer." And so it stuck.
It's a good one. And I just heard from Seth that we're thinking about developing a new trail dedicated to that name, Sweet Hammer, somewhere in the Mount Gretna area, right?
Great.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I know it's going to be over by my house, so I'm hip. I'm cool with that. So the actual. I mean, we'll get into the tires and stuff, but the actual trail surface, they say it's the Flint Mountains, and I was wondering if the trail surface had was it gravelly or was it more flinty, like rock, like flat rocks, or did it vary?
It
like
varied.
A shaly kind of a thing?
Yeah, it varied from, flat gravel to shaly and rocky. Really, people were just all over the side of the trail with punctures. Seems to slice tires really easily, that flint rock.
So you were being gracious with 3. I know when I watch Global Cycling Network, I forget her name, but she did it in 2018. She carried 10 tubes. And I'm like, come on, man. Well, they were all latex, so they were lighter weight. Did you worry about that, or you carry regular tubes, or did you have latex?
I carried regular, and then had some at the aid station in case I did flat. I had extra there.
And so then, all right, that's the trail surface, so it can be very dangerous.
Yep.
And then your tires, you were running tubeless,
Mm-hmm.
so you'd have to take out that valve and everything if you did get a flat with
Yeah,
a bummer. It's
right.
I always hope I don't get a flat.
I
Hope I don't get a flat.
know.
I'll do anything, but I don't want to have to take the valve out and pour the latex.
Right.
So-
Until there are points in Dirty Kansas where I was so tired that it did cross my mind, like, oh, if I got flat, at least I'd get a break for a second. And then you think, no, like, again, never have these
Get that
thoughts.
thought out.
Get that thought out, because then it's not like you get a break when you have a flat tire because you're stressed and you have to change it. But there
You
are
see all
moments where
those
you
people
think,
that you just
oh,
passed
yeah,
flying by,
passing.
and you're like, "Ah."
Yeah.
Did so then climbing, roughly how many thousands of feet?
It was 12,000.
So was there any like steep grades, or were a lot of rolling? I mean, I can't imagine it because I've never been to Kansas
Mhm.
for any degree of time. And was it more like long kind of,
Mixture. So
there was punchy climbs though?
there were punchy. There was one towards the end that I admittedly had to walk, and I
Well,
it's
that's pretty
rare for
punchy.
me to have to walk. It
Yeah, I
was
believe that.
loose and steep at the bottom, and I kind of just came off. It was probably at 160, 70 miles, and it was straight up, and I just had to get off and walk. Otherwise, it's just as far as I can see at times. It's just that's all you see ahead of you is just rolling hills for miles on end, and
Wow.
they're probably 2-3 minute climbs at a time, but relentless.
So 12,000 feet, that's like 1,000 feet every 20 or 12, 14 miles roughly.
Probably.
Because usually when we have rides around here and I look at my Strava, if I did 1,000 feet of climbing in 10 miles, I'm like, okay,
That's decent. Yeah.
it's not bad.
Yeah.
So in that case, it would be 20 times that. So it would be 20,000 feet.
Right. Yeah.
So
but this was
12,000.
It's
12,000.
like 1,000 an hour, basically. It was like almost consistent all the way through.
And what was your average speed miles per hour?
It was 15.
That's really good. Did you have, did you record everything on Garmin Strava, or did you
Yeah.
actually carry a phone with?
I had a phone. Yeah, you had to have a phone with you because of the thunderstorms. So they made you sign up for a severe thunderstorm, which still calls me every night. I can't get rid of it. I'm like, oh, I had a call in the middle of the night last night. Oh, it was from Emporia, Kansas, to say there's a severe thunderstorm. I had text messages this morning, so I can't seem to like unsubscribe from that. So I figure I'll just keep it on there, and that'll make sure I go back to the race.
You won't have to panic. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, what was that number again?
Yeah, exactly. So you have to have a phone. So you can get their warnings of thunderstorms and to call your rescue, because they flat out tell you in their rule book, if you have a mechanical, if you hurt yourself, we will not come and get you. Like, you have to use your support. So Seth was my
wow.
support for the race. Yeah. No support. When they say no support, they mean no support. So you have to have your phone because you have to get yourself out of there. And the one thing, though, is I forgot to wear my heart rate monitor. And so I had the mileage, but about 20 miles in, I was like, I forgot to wear my heart rate monitor. So didn't get that total calorie burn or the training score because I don't have a power meter on my...
So you don't know what your total calorie burn is.
Don't know what it was. Yeah.
Would you say that you used about, I don't know if you check grams on carbohydrates, were you doing like 100 grams an hour?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably slightly less just because of my size.
Yeah.
And I interestingly did earlier this year, I think it's called InSync or Inside. It's Cadence Cycling in Philadelphia offer it, and it's a test of like lactate tolerance, essentially, just like your usual VO2 max test. But it really plots out if you're more of a carbohydrate burner or a fat burner, how much you should be fueling per hour, when you need to start fueling, based on your physiology and your lactate numbers. So I had used that in preparation for this year's Dirty Kansas. So I was recommended to take on 70 grams of carbohydrate per hour.
Which, yeah, is really low.
Mm-hmm.
That's easy to fuel.
Yeah.
And I saw some of those guys that did it, like Global Cycling Network guys, they were, they said to get through it properly, they need like 140, 150 grams of carbs, yet your body can only absorb,
Correct.
about 100 or 90?
Yeah.
So you're in the sweet spot.
Yeah, I'm
You're
lucky.
a sweet hammer for a reason,
Right.
but they're not. So
Yeah.
they're like got a serious deficit that they're going to get into at some point.
Yeah, I think it's definitely physiology and I'm a scientist, so I love all that.
Yeah.
I love the sport science side of it. And I think that sometimes people overfuel at times because, like you say, it gets to a point you can't absorb it. And so you're just putting more and more in the tank and it's not going anywhere.
And then your blood is rushing into your stomach
Yeah.
and it's coming out of your extremities and then you can't absorb it anyway.
Yeah.
So kind of exercise in futility. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
So do you remember how many, what was your mile per average at unpaved? That's something we could all relate to.
No, I finished in 8 hours 15, I think, but I can't remember what the miles per hour
Sounds
were.
about 15 though.
Yeah.
Because 8 times 15 is 80 and 40.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's 120.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you've been pretty steady with that. Just to give everybody kind of a perspective of relativity there, as to what they could expect out there. So basically going into it, you're not going to do any major gravel races. Did you do some last year in preparation or didn't the opportunity present itself?
Yeah, there was not any that I did before May last year that I can remember now.
And there's not going to be any this summer, right? I guess Brandywine is supposed to be June 21st. They rescheduled it. I don't know if you saw that or not, or if you have any interest in that.
Yeah, maybe I'll sign up for a few over the summer.
Yeah, it's going to be
in
June
preparation.
21st, I think.
Mm-hmm.
64 miles or whatever. Wow. So how you feeling this year about the whole adventure? Because you're new to the neighborhood. You kind of got a new life going on here. And you're training in Mount Gretna now. So how's everything settling in?
Yeah, I mean, I love the riding here. It took me a little bit of time to figure out where roads went. And, last year I rode with you guys and did the gravel loop that you all love to do. People here have shared their Strava routes with me, and there's some great loops, both on the road and the gravel here. So it's a great spot to be in just to hit the open road or the open gravel.
We've got to do that. We added on to that, we go to Obi Road, pumping station, railroad bed, and then we go to Dead End Road and then do the long climb, which is great. So what we can do is go up 322 and go past the 501 322 intersection there at Brickerville. And then you get on Seglock Road that goes over to the Middle Creek, and that's a long gravel stretch. And then you go around the lake, that's gravel. Then you come back, you can hit Obi and pumping the other way. And that's, almost a 60-mile day.
Yeah.
So, and that's right in our backyard. So we got to do that. I did it the other day with Jed. It's a pretty good ride.
Yeah. No, it's great.
Very cool. So, did you already make reservations or anything for that in preparation? You're just going to wait till it's official?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty official. I was kind of waiting to see really how things were. But yeah, this month, if it looks like, the country is opening up, then we'll start to move forward.
I didn't see the female field that was supposed to be in it. Did you? I mean, I saw some of the male names. It was the usual Ted King and Nikki Terpstra was going to be in it. Van Dan was going to be in it. And I just wondered if you had seen.
I try not to look at it, actually.
Good strategy. I love that.
I try just to focus on my own race. And, I know people definitely just because I'm friends with them or on Instagram, but try not to get too wrapped up on that. I mean, I've gotten to a point in my career where I love cycling and I love to race now and again, but I have a full-time job. I have, other commitments. It's not my livelihood. And so I try to keep it in perspective now until, the day before the race. And then it's like then my whole life depends on it.
Right.
But, leading up to it, I have to keep it in perspective.
Are you going to do any mountain bike racing this year?
I hadn't planned to. I'm just not sure what's going to happen. But I love racing the Mid-Atlantic Super Series. Always
that was so
have.
much fun. I miss that dearly.
And always, like I said, that's where I started racing here and respect the equal pay, even though it's a small series, of generous pay that they give to the women in that race, and really support the women racers and families. And it's just always a good vibe at those races.
I feel the same way. I love that. Lupine Lights was going to sponsor that, and this year, and we'll just carry the sponsorship over to next year. But yeah, it's great talking with you.
You too.
Guys, everybody showed up. Let's go out and look at the bikes.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, you've got two Guerciati gravel bikes. They're called Breras. This is an extra small, mine's a medium. And we both have Industry 9 wheels. We both have Hydra hubs. And that's a nice, I like your wheel too. It's got a little bit of a higher relief than my carbon wheel. So, yeah, let's look at first the tires. You said you're probably not going to run these. These are Victoria 33Cs. They do look really nice on here.
Yeah, great
And-
for just, you know, riding around here on, you know, less severe.
And then I'm
trail.
running the Terravales, Cannonballs. They're 38s. That's probably as high as I need to go. You were saying probably when you get to Dirty Kansas, you'll go 38 or 40 probably instead
Yeah.
of the 33 because of that surface we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Gearing. So, you know, you went with Shimano, I went SRAM, and you went with an 1140 in the back. So, you know, the thing with Shimano is it's a little bit tougher to do a one by. And the only reason why I say that is because they have an 11 as a small gear and SRAM has a 10. That's like 10%. So when you're on a 4211, but it's like, who runs a 40? You know, it's like 4210. Like, how can you hold that anyway?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a 5311 on a road bike. I mean, who holds that in a
Yeah,
sprint anyway?
right.
So you're not disadvantaged there. And then the only thing I was wondering about is the 4240. I would need more gears, but you climb pretty well. You're light. That doesn't bother you?
No.
Never had a problem with it, right?
No, I mean, I didn't have this bike last year, but I've ridden this bike around here. None of the climbs in Dirty Kansas are any more severe, so I feel comfortable with this gearing.
Very good. And you see what I did was a 42 also. I put I have an oval ring.
Yeah.
I really like the ovals.
Oh yeah, you were
So-
talking about that.
It's a black oval, and it's a 42. And on the back, I got an XO cassette that was 1042. And with XO, they're not riveted, so I could pry off the back ring and put on that Wolf's Tooth red 46.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, and I'm ashamed to say that I need the 42, 46 a lot around here anyway. Yeah, but so far the bikes are really fast and good. How have you been enjoying yours?
Oh yeah, love it. It's fast and very comfortable. That's one thing I've noticed. So yeah, really happy.
It's set up really nice. It looks good. John did a good job on that build. And yeah, wow, nice. That's the new GRX derailleur too. We got everything new. The new GRX hub set.
Yeah.
Nice stuff.
Yeah.
Wow, nice bike. And of course the Industry 9 wheels, flawless, right?
Yeah.
And there you have it. Ready for Dirty Kansas. Maybe me too someday.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, Girl Power Show. This is another thing about Gretna. You're just coming out your driveway and you see another beautiful Guerciati Brera. So they're all over the place. This one's got brand new, pretty purple I9 hubs, Hydra hubs. And you have a 1x2, and you're running a 42x10x42 in the back. So you're 1-to-1, right, Taylor?
Yep. Thanks.